very late to discovering this bit of news, and apparently I am. I accept your admonishment. But I did not know that Palmer's Bar, the great old dive bar on Cedar Avenue, was sold to the Dar Al-Hijrah mosque. Did you know?
I had no idea. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Really?
Huh?
It's the only.
They're going to change it into a mosque or keep it as a bar?
It's the only offer. Just a minute.
Golly, Matthew. Gee whiz.
That
Buddy.
was an honest question.
Yeah,
Well,
maybe,
See, alcohol is
maybe
Verboten?
sometimes.
Is it verboten?
sometimes.
Just coast before you put the gas on really hard. Just coast a second or so.
Don't start in third gear is what you're telling me?
It's
I got you now.
Okay.
It's clear.
It's amazing to me
It's clear.
that that's the only offer Palmer's got was from the mosque. Did you know that?
I didn't know it was the only offer.
Mosque board member Abdisalam Adam said the space will be used for educational programming, youth services, and interfaith dialogue. All right.
Yeah.
No. But the Cedar-Riverside neighborhood in which Palmer's has been located for so long is a dense East African Muslim neighborhood where many practicing Muslims abstain from alcohol altogether. Due to the current economic environment, people's changing drinking habits, and the challenge of losing so many other bars and businesses in our neighborhood, Palmer's has been losing 10 to 30 grand a month. The situation was no longer sustainable. They're going to stay open until September 14 with a series of special events, but then the mosque people take over. I'll be damned.
Boy, that used to be a fun strip.
Thank you. Yes, I was just about to say the same thing, Ken.
Between Seven Corners and that corner at the Caboose, Red Sea, the 400, Five Corners, Palmer's. What was that hipster bar on the east side of the road? Whatever that was.
Fratelloni and I did an event there. Yeah, that whole strip used to be just great.
Yeah.
Was that the Caboose?
No, the Caboose would be the Anchor on the south end. The Caboose, the Joint, and the Whiskey.
Whiskey Junction.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the south end Anchor, and then the north end Anchor would be up at Seven Corners at Bullwinkle's.
Oh,
When you read the story, too, honestly, I'm surprised they still were able to get by.
Palmer's has been there for 119 years.
I don't know that I've ever stepped into Palmer's.
Oh, yeah.
I've been to Bullwinkle's, but never Palmer's, I don't think.
Well, no, everyone has it's America. You want to do a real estate deal and buy a building, it doesn't make any difference. You're entitled to do that. I don't know what this portends. Maybe nothing. Maybe
I think what portends already happened 10 years ago.
Yep.
This is 400 closed a long time ago. And I don't know that the Red Sea is still open.
Well, let's extrapolate. You say whatever is to portend happened 10 years ago, meaning a complete cultural change in lifestyle?
Shift.
The neighborhood has turned.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
And now
And you remember, this was the neighborhood where all the hipsters and Dylan and all of those guys, Dave, who were those old blues dudes? They all hung out on the West Bank there.
Yeah.
And when I was, of age, when I was in my 20s, it was all those spots were U of M college bars, Augsburg, that's where everybody hung out.
Is there any direction to pursue to say that the culture that's now disappeared, I don't even think it's disappearing, I think it's just disappeared.
It's gone, yeah, for sure.
That was commerce. Is that a fair statement?
Sure.
I mean, it was people selling things, booze and cigarettes.
Entertainment. Yeah.
Dimly lit rooms to recite bad poetry. And,
Slams.
Yeah.
What were they?
Yeah.
Poetry slams?
So the new culture really doesn't have anything to do with commerce, does it? Or am I wrong? Because there's no such thing as an Islamic bar that I'm aware of.
I can't speak with any kind of authority on that.
But
I
it is
don't know.
that entire neighborhood is Well, you said it. It's what was the phrase you used? It's very thick with East African. Is that the phrase that you used?
Yes.
I mean, that's essentially what that entire neighborhood is.
I think the only bar I know would be that Ethiopian bar on 7th and Davern. That used to be the Steelers bar. That is a legit, it's a sports bar. I don't know if they serve booze, but you know which one I'm talking about?
I do, yeah. I don't know what in
But
God's name that has to do with what I'm talking about.
Well, you were talking about or Islamic bars or Somali bars, but does this mean that U of M students aren't going to Whiskey Junction? And what are they doing? Drinking in the dorms?
I don't know that the kids do drink these days.
Well,
to
most
be honest.
of them,
Do they?
if we're being honest, I mean, most of them stay either on the east side of campus or they go to the northeast portion of Minneapolis. That's where all the trendy spots are now.
Because the Cedar-Riverside area does not.
Well, here, I'll be frank. It's not safe, especially at night. It's not a safe place to hang out for 20-year-old girls. It's just not. I'll just call it like it is.
Why?
Because I spent how many years working in the service industry? This, as Kenny mentioned, this transformation started 10 years ago, if not maybe even earlier than that.
Okay,
no one
but
felt safe in that area.
But it doesn't necessarily follow that the transformation has to be unsafe. It just turned out that way. Well, but what's to be unsafe about if there's no place for you to go there anyway? In other words, you're not going to walk up and down Cedar and go into joints because there aren't any joints anymore.
Right, and there aren't any joints anymore because people stopped going there because that area is unsafe.
Okay.
I don't 100% agree with that, Chris. I think it's just the changing times. For me, it was over when the 400 closed, and the 400 did not close due to crime. It was just trends.
You know, it'd be
consumer
great.
trends.
Sorry, Ken. You know, it'd be great though is to hear from some of our cop buddies anonymously that listen to the show, and maybe get their scope on it because that's what I think happened.
Well, here's another question I have: Is this transformation going to be also occurring in other neighborhoods?
Isn't the city always evolving? I mean, couldn't we take this discussion about that short section of Cedar and apply it to University or Grand or any random neighborhood around the Twin Cities? Isn't that cities evolve constantly, right? We just happened to witness this one during our lifetime.
I guess it's just ironic that such a famous bar was bought by a mosque. That's kind of an odd twist of news there. It's kind of an odd twist of fate. Now,
so does this mean that a regular person, don't they have barber shops there? Don't they have, I mean, isn't that a destination where you wouldn't have to be Somali to go to Cedar-Riverside to get
No, you accidentally raised a great point.
Thank you.
It
almost
it almost seems to me like there's no reason to hang out in Cedar-Riverside unless you're Somali.
You know what would be really interesting for one of you, Joe Souchere, to ride your scooter from on Riverside from Cedar Avenue up to the freeway.
I'll be glad to.
Past the hospital. Tell me what's open, what's closed, what bars. There was a Chinese, I think, restaurant really close to Cedar and Riverside. I wonder if that's still open. Wonderful place for General Tso chicken.
And as someone that's clearly interested in your well-being, maybe do that at about 9 a.m. on a Sunday.
Oh.
Okay.
Not
but I'll be glad to do
8:45
that.
Yeah, I should do that the next time I'm down just to see how the neighborhood has changed. I actually go from Franklin to Cedar on Riverside, do that whole stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Well, here, you know what I'll do? I'll pull up a Google map.
We now have an Islamic center writing a letter of community support for a Somali immigrant convicted of raping a 12-year-old. Linley Ibrahim Deary is to be released from prison in 2033 and remain on probation for the rest of his sentence. He's a Somali immigrant living in the U.S. He's been sentenced to 12 years imprisonment for raping a 12-year-old girl in Minneapolis last year. After the conviction, an Islamic center in St. Paul wrote a community support letter for him. Kwalinle Ibrahim Diri, 42, was born in Somalia, grew up in a Kenyan refugee camp. In 2006, Deary immigrated to the U.S. and initially spent time in Minnesota before moving to North Dakota. He eventually moved back to Minnesota in 2014. In July of 2024, Deary was charged with raping a 12-year-old girl. According to the criminal complaint, the victim said she was playing in the backyard of her family's home in Minneapolis when a man started talking to her from an alley behind the house. The man reportedly asked if the victim... I think I remember this case. The man reportedly asked if the victim's mother was home, and the victim said she was not. Court documents say the man left the scene for a few minutes and then returned, putting his hand over her mouth, forcing her into a car, striking her over the head. The victim said a man drove a short distance away from home, pulled over, and sexually assaulted her. Eventually, the victim was able to run home. According to criminal charges, the victim had contact information for a Mohammed Muse in her phone. When asked about that person, the victim said Mohammed Muse was the man who assaulted her. Using that cell phone contact, a sting operation was set up by the victim's family, and Deary arrived at the victim's home and was taken into custody. On May 28 of this year, just 2 months ago, or not even that, 2 months ago, a jury found Deary guilty of first-degree criminal sexual conduct. After he was convicted, his family submitted letters to Judge Michael E. Burns, which asked the judge to consider Deary's character when making a sentence decision.
My God.
He is a deeply good man whose presence enriches the lives of those around him.
What?
I respectfully ask that you consider his character, his contributions, and his ongoing potential in making your decision. Otherwise, you're a racist Islamophobe. No, it doesn't say that part.
Might as well.
Among other things, the letter portrayed Deary as a hardworking family man who genuinely strives to make meaningful contributions. In addition to the letters from the family, the Al-Hissan Islamic Center in St. Paul contributed a community support letter for Kwalinle Deary. We, the undersigned members of the Somali community, write this letter to express our strong and heartfelt support for Kwalinle Deary, a member of our community. The center wrote that the convicted felon has faced the challenge of starting all over in a new culture. Boy, they're just going to sell every angle they can. And Deary was known as an outgoing, family-oriented person before the situation.
Oh, it's a situation.
So far, there's been no mention of the 12-year-old girl. The Islamic Center said the community has witnessed his love for his family and noted that Deary sends money back to Somalia to support his people. And he's been an active volunteer in our mosque, the Al-Hissan Islamic Center. The letter was signed by Ahmed Ansur, the executive director of the Al-Hissan Islamic Center. Alpha News reached out to the Al-Hissan Islamic Center to ask why I would submit a letter for a felon who was convicted of raping a 12-year-old. Neither Ansur nor the Islamic Center responded to media inquiries. This is ridiculous.
Yes, it is.
This is absolutely absurd.
Kenny, are you going to mention what you mentioned before the show? I think it was you. No? Okay.
I don't remember.
You just basically saying something about the family's reaction to this because certain types of behavior are accepted in other parts of the world than they are in this country.
Yeah.
Well, I'm unaware if raping is an accepted part.
No, I said behavior. Behavior. Certain behavior is just accepted.
Well, the behavior in this case was the rape,
Correct.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what's okay in the country they came from.
Correct. You live in the United States now.
Yeah, but I'm unprepared to say, is raping okay in Somalia? I have no idea. It shouldn't be if it is.
That's a weird thing to
Well, it was
Google.
10,000. What was the book you read? The Kite Runner.
Yeah.
Wasn't there?
That was in Afghanistan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We respectfully ask that this letter be considered as a sincere reflection of who Kwalinli is. His contributions may not make headlines. Well, he did make the headline with the rape, though. But to us, he's made a positive difference. Last week, Burns sentenced Deary to 12 years in prison, the least amount of time recommended by the sentencing guidelines for first-degree criminal sexual assault. Minnesota law allows Deary to be released in 2033 and remain on probation for the rest of his sentence. He's currently at the Minnesota Correctional Facility in St. Cloud. He's 42, by the way.
I can help you here. Somalia faces a complex situation regarding sexual violence, particularly rape. While rape is criminalized under Somali law with penalties ranging from 5 to 15 years imprisonment, according to the U.S. Department of State, cultural norms and a weak justice system often undermine its legal prohibition. Some sources indicate a disturbing normalization of rape within some communities, particularly in internal displacement person camps, IDP. Factors contributing to this include the impact of the Civil War on traditional protective norms, a perceived sense of impunity among perpetrators, and a compromised justice system.
Well, the one excuse I don't accept any of the excuses for this character. But the one excuse that is most irritating is, well, come on, cut him some slack. He's adopting to a new culture. Go bleep yourself.
Sorry, that's not going to fly.
That should be the first thing you're taught when you are fortunate enough to relocate to Minnesota. You better adapt and adapt instantly.
What's the old trope? Ignorance of the law is no excuse, or
Right.
not forgivable, something like that.
Can I share a quick text before you have to do that thing?
Mm-hmm.
What
thing?
I need EcoFund,
I don't
by the
even
way.
know what you told me to do.
She told me I could say this. So this is our gal, Linda Keller, kellertaxservice.com. Make sure you check her out. Hey, guys, yours truly here. Moved to 1901 Minnehaha Avenue, kitty corner from Whiskey Junction back in 1990. At 18 years old with 2 friends after high school graduation. Building was all college kids. Now I would be absolutely terrified to drive through there 35 years later. So like I said, a lot of it is, and the way that, or the reason why some of that shifted culturally is because of, a lack of safety.
Well, Maria, my sister, who's got kids that age, said the kids are going to Sal's and College Club.
Oh, sure.
Both
Okay.
spelled with K's.
Yep.
Well, back to the mosque purchase of the bar, Palmer's Bar. Well, we're told that it will be used for educational programming, youth services, and interfaith dialogue. Would it be out of place for me to suggest that they better educate people about raping 12-year-olds? Would that be untoward of me?
I don't know. I mean,
Don't you learn that right away?
you would think.
You would think so.
No matter what culture you're in, I would hope.
There is a website you were talking about, the West Bank. What's there now? It's called thewestbank.org, and it has a directory of entertainment, bars and restaurants, shops, et cetera, et cetera. I know we were talking about what's there
still
or what's
there,
not
yeah.
there anymore.
Yeah, I'm looking at a map. The Red Cedar is still there. Riverside, Hard Times is still there. Lucky Dragon is still there.